That was the Minnesota final, 34-7. So it could be a big day for the Twin Cities as Knobloch steps in.
Rare for the football team this year, not for the baseball team.
Tom Candiotti, starter and loser in game 1. Ground ball up the middle. Manny Lee gloves it behind the bag and throws out Knobloch for out number 2.
Good start by Toronto. Manny Lee, almost as much range as Tony Fernandez, who played there last year. Ranges behind second base, makes a nice play.
Lee has had a good series in the field. His problems have been at the plate, and with 2 outs, here's Kirby Puckett. Puckett with a home run to center field sparked a big 4-run 4th inning as the Twins batted around last night en route to their victory. There's a knuckleball, and it misses. 1-0. Two balls and no strikes.
But to see Puckett, as a lot of the Twins hitters will do today, take a very flat-footed and flat bat approach to Candiotti. Not a lot of body movement, just try to take a short, compact swing, make contact with that knuckleball.
2 balls and 1 strike. 34-year-old native from Walnut Creek, California, now living in Danville. 2 outs, nobody on base. And a line drive deep to left field. Mookie Wilson's back, and it's gone. And Kirby Puckett has hit his 2nd homer in as many games. The Twins take a 1-0 lead.
Here's the home run swing from last night. Watch the leg kick, that front leg. Puckett, famous for this leg kick, generates a lot of leverage. The front knee way up. That was the home run to straightaway center field off Todd Stottlemyre in last night's game.
Ken Hrbek with 2 out takes ball 1.
Now the one right now, a little shorter, a little quicker kick, and the flat bat much more pronounced to make contact with that knuckler.
Kirby Puckett's come alive. 4 hits in his last 5 trips and 2 home runs. Candiotti falls behind Ken Hrbek. 2 balls and no strikes. He had not allowed a home run in his last 29 2/3 innings before Puckett's drive over the left field wall. 3-0 now to Hrbek. So unusual for Candiotti to give up the home run ball. 1-0 in favor of the Twins. Ground ball to the right side. Olerud will make the play unassisted, but a 2-out home run by Kirby Puckett, and the Twins lead 1-0 as the Blue Jays come to bat. The Blue Jays, same lineup as last evening. Roberto Alomar, followed by Joe Carter, who's the DH. John Olerud at first base. Kelly Gruber batting 5th. Candy Maldonado playing right field. Pat Borders, who had a big night offensively, behind the plate hitting 7th. Manuel Lee at shortstop, and Mookie Wilson with his 2nd straight start in left field, batting 9th for Toronto.
Customary Twins alignment in the field. Dan Gladden in left, Kirby Puckett in center, and Shane Mack in right field. And around the infield, Mike Pagliarulo at 3rd. Greg Gagney's the shortstop. Chuck Knobloch at 2nd. Ken Hrbek is the first baseman. Brian Harper does the catches. Catches right-hander Kevin Tapani.
Those 2 walks were unusual for him in his first outing.
And one of those against Manuel Lee, who's difficult to walk.
Devon White leading off. He's had a good series, as those numbers show, and has hit Tapani pretty well, hitting over 300 against him career-wise. Switch hitter. Ground ball, base hit up the middle. Good start for Toronto. First pitch. And White, with 2 stolen bases in 2 attempts, is on.
Tapani with the best control of any starter in the American League. Devon White and the Toronto Blue Jays know that. No need in waiting. Picks out the first fastball and does what the Blue Jays do so well when they're winning. He gets on base and sets it up for Alomar and Carter.
We'll see how the Blue Jays play it now with Pagliarulo playing in at third. Alomar a good bunter. Jays could also play hit and run, trailing 1-0. Getting back is White. Twins had the best record in the major leagues during the regular season when they scored first. They won 68 games when they did. Pitch out, and White was not going.
2 years ago in Kevin Tapani's rookie season, the league hit over 300 against him with men on base. He's tried to come up with a higher leg kick to get more on the ball to compensate for that. As a result, he's a little easier to steal against for that higher kick.
And as we mentioned, Harper has had his problems throwing out base stealers.
He's actually trying to shorten it up here. This is not that high a kick, and as a result, it's not his normal smooth delivery, and the ball's outside.
2 balls and no strikes. And there goes White. The pitch is taken for a ball. The throw to second, and in safely is White with a stolen base, his third.
That's what speed does. Not just Devon White, who takes a quick peek in and gets into second base easily. Not just the stolen base. Suddenly, as a pitcher, you have a 3-0 count on Roberto Alomar. No chance to get White.
Alomar will be looking to get White over to third. Nobody out. Alomar, like White, a switch hitter. Fastball, 3-1.
That was a nervous twitch with the baseball in Kevin Tapani's hand. You'll see a lot of pitchers twirling, very relaxed. That had a little more of a stiff action to it, I think, indicative of what kind of pressure is on him in this game.
Full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Roberto Alomar, the best all-round player on the Jays, hitting just under 500 in this series. Joe Carter on deck. Interesting to see how he looks in the batter's box. 3-2 pitch, and Alomar swings at a bad pitch. And that is out number 1 here in the first inning.
Last night, Joe Carter, look at the back leg, and this is the problem Joe Carter has right there. No leverage off that back foot, the right foot. That's the ankle that he twisted. A very defensive, flat-footed swing, not his normal powerful swing where he drives off that back leg.
1 out. Devon White is on at second base. The Twins scored a run in their hit in the first inning, and there's a fastball for a strike. Jim, what about Carter? They said the ankle, as Leslie reported, looked very bad, yet he's in there again.
Yeah, that's a decision that Cito Gaston had to make after conferring with trainer Tommy Craig. Certainly would not want to cause any harm to Joe Carter's career in the future.
Pops it up in foul ground. Brian Harper gives chase and makes the catch. A fine glove catch by Brian Harper, and White goes back to second base. And there are 2 down. And a fine defensive play by the Minnesota receiver.
You see him peek at the dugout. You get to the dugout, he'll actually brace himself. Now he knows he has plenty of room, and as is usual, foul balls with that reverse spin tend to come back toward the field of play. That's why you always see catchers take their mask off and turn their back to the infield, because the ball will come back toward them, as that one did to Harper.
2 away, and White still at second. John Olerud, who has knocked in 2 runs in this series. Ball one. So Olerud now in a situation where the Blue Jays have seen so many times with runners in scoring position. Many of those situations been squandered.
Getting back to that Carter point, I think that the decision Cito Gaston has to make is Joe Carter on a bad ankle a more productive hitter than a Rance Mullenix or a Greg Myers, who is on the bench? So far in the 5 at-bats we've seen him, he has not been.
Ground ball, and Herbeck loves it and makes the play to Tapani. Herbeck saves a run for the Twins. A leadoff single is wasted, and the Jays leave another man in scoring position. Done at the plate, but in the field it's been another story for the Twins first baseman.
I get more pride out of probably winning a ball game with my glove than I do maybe hitting one over the fence to win a ball game. I think a lot of people don't take that into consideration. With a first baseman, they always say they're going to put the older players over there or whatever, but I think the game has changed to where big plays can be made at first base by a guy picking the ball out of the dirt or making a good play over there in order to save a run for your ball club. And I've always worked at it that way because I like to save a ball game with my glove just as much as I do with my bat.
He's as good as you've ever seen there.
You got that right. He is. I'll tell you who changed that philosophy. Ozzie Smith in St. Louis. He'll save 2 runs a game, makes big money because he saves as many as the power hitters knock in.
Chili Davis lines one to center field, a base hit to start the Minnesota second inning. 1-0 the Twins lead. 2 hits now for the Twins.
Again, Chili Davis with a little longer swing. He's a much better off-speed hitter. Look at that knuckleball flutter. I'm going to get into how Candiotti throws that ball and actually what makes it do that. But Davis with a longer swing and more of an off-speed hitter, perfectly timed for the knuckleball.
Brian Harper with a man at first and nobody out in the second inning. That's a knuckleball. Harper has 2 doubles so far in this series. Manny Lee calls timeout. Has something for Candiotti.
Probably like to know what sign they're using because it's important right now. Brian Harper, who makes a lot of contact. Tom Kelly would put the hit and run on to stay out of the double play. And as to who covers second base, Lee or Alomar, would be determined by maybe what pitch is thrown, curveball or knuckleball. Got to be a nervous throw. Davis not a threat to steal second base.
Fastball fouled back. 1 ball and 1 strike to Brian Harper. Candiotti was spiked by Harper toward the end of the season in a play at first base, but did not miss a start.
Covering first base and got his foot over on the foul side of the bag. Escaped what could have been a real serious injury.
1-1 with Chili Davis on at first base. Knuckleball, and the ball gets away, and Davis will advance to second. That should be a pass ball charged to Pat Borders. Twins have a runner in scoring position.
Now, when you catch a knuckleballer, as a catcher in Pat Borders' case, you know this is going to happen. You can't really catch it cleanly. You just try to bat it down. Look at the break on that ball just at the last minute. Borders tries to snatch it, closes the glove too quickly. Doesn't have control of the ball, and that provides the same as a hit and run for Minnesota.
12 pass balls for Borders in the regular season, led American League catchers. And there's another situation. Strike 3, and safe at first base is Harper, and moving to third is Davis. Borders having a lot of trouble with Candiotti's knuckleball here in the second inning, and the Twins with none out have a threat going as Cito Gaston comes out of the Toronto dugout.
Borders and Gaston appealing to home plate umpire Mike Riley. Wasn't that a foul ball? I thought I heard some contact. Contact Gaston heard. Mike Riley is going to tell him is probably contact with the web of Borders' glove. Another look. See, Harper clearly swings over that ball, but very difficult to tell whether he actually kicked it with part of the bat. Borders appealing that he did. Another example of what a frustrating day it can be. There you can see he was clearly over the ball. But what a frustrating day it can be catching a knuckleballer. Because there's no way you can fundamentally catch the ball the way you're taught. You just have to guess, take a swipe at it. These last two Borders has guessed wrong.
It'll go as a strikeout for Candiotti, but a pass ball. Second one here in the second inning. Twins trying to take the crowd out of the game as they did last night are doing a good job of it. Harper, the runner at first base. Davis at third, nobody out. Shane Mack, who has a couple of extra base hits in this series, the batter. 1-0 in favor of the Twins. And they're knocking on the door. 1-0 on the knuckle.
Bob Uecker used to say the way to catch a knuckleball is just pick it up when it stops rolling. He says it facetiously, but oftentimes it's all the catcher can do. Very difficult to handle.
Two balls in those strikes. You see how careful Borders is behind the plate, particularly with a runner at third base.
And now, exactly, because anything that gets past him is going to the backstop, and now the challenge is whether to throw a fastball to Shane Mack, not having control of that knuckle.
He could be looking for the fastball. That's in for the strike. Came in with the curve. He stayed away from the knuckler, and it's 2-1. First base umpire said Mack had swung, and it's 2-2.
Those are tough calls, and I think everyone has been called properly by the umpires in this series. Again, you see the barrel of the bat will cross the front part of home plate, and when it does, that's a strike.
Shane Mack has knocked in 2 runs in this series. Chili Davis at third. You saw Harper at first. And the bluff, neither runner had much of a lead. Candiotti had early inning blues in game 1 in Minneapolis, having problems here. In the second inning, it's 1-0 Twins. And the count is full, 3-2. On deck is Mike Pagliarulo. And he's come on big as a hero in the last 2 games for the Twins.
Not a comfortable series or a comfortable day for Cito Gaston with that painful back.
3-2 pitch and a ground ball past the diving Alomar into right field. Chili Davis will score the second run. Harper will stop at second, and it's 2-0 in favor of the Twins. And they're off to a flying start. An RBI for Shane Mack.
Preparation is the key word when you think about the Minnesota Twins from their managers on down. That slider spin on 3-2, but it's about thigh high, and Mack waiting back trying to make contact. Alomar playing a little closer to second base in the double play situation, can't get it.
Interesting, Jim, that Cito Gaston wanted to see more knuckleballs, not as many curves, and the knuckler has gotten Borders and the Jays in a lot of trouble here in this second inning.
That's the tension, the pressure factor of trying to get that thing into strike zone early in the count, not doing it.
Here's Mike Pagliarulo, squares to bunt and takes the ball. Runners are at first and second, still nobody out. The Twins with a run in here in the second. Kirby Puckett hit a 2-out home run in the first inning.
And this is the exact scenario Cito Gaston wanted to avoid. Some early runs by Minnesota. That can make for a very long and quiet afternoon here in the Skydome.
One and one.
It's amazing that the Blue Jays' strength during the season has really become their weakness as we get into Game 5. Their starting pitching is putting so much pressure on bringing the bullpen in early, and if they have to do that today with Timlin and Wells, who have logged a lot of innings, just not going to give them much. Even if they were to come back, it'll set them back in Game 6. They've overused the bullpen.
Why the Jays really hope Candiotti can close the door here without further damage. And there's the bunt in front of the plate. It's a good one. Candiotti's only play is to first to Olerud, and a sacrifice by Pagliarulo advances the runners to second and third with one away. And right now, let's go down to Leslie Visser. Leslie?
Dick, catcher Pat Borders had never caught a knuckleballer before. In fact, he didn't even have the right glove. Tom Candiotti had to bring Sandy Alomar's glove from Cleveland. Pat told me today he had it relaced before the series began, but obviously it's not behaving. Dick?
Need that big one that Gus Trianda started using. I mean, a great big old pillow to try to block that thing. I don't think any catcher will tell you they can find a glove big enough.
The infield is in for the Blue Jays. You're right. Remember, Hoyt Wilhelm went to the Orioles, started his career with the Giants.
Paul Richards invented that big glove. Former Baltimore manager.
Greg Gagne, the hitter. The infield in with runners at second and third. And there's a knuckler for a strike. So this is a critical hitter for the Toronto Blue Jays. A base hit by Gagne here would open up a 4-0 lead. Perhaps. He's 3 for 13 and an RBI in this series thus far. See how difficult it is for Borders to handle that flutter ball. 1-1.
And that's what Borders is looking at. It's still right there, but at the last moment, catcher doesn't know which way it's going to dip.
One ball and 2 strikes.
See Borders in a position there. I think that was the curveball. He's almost in a stand-up position. Mentioned Candiotti, more than just a knuckleball pitcher. He's a pitcher with a knuckleball. Both some sliders and a lot of curveballs.
He's ahead on the count, so Gagne could see the knuckler here. Off the fist and a pop-up to Roberto Alomar. 2 out. Candiotti gets a big man. He's got Harper still at third and Mack remaining at second, but there are 2 down. To the top of the order, Dan Gladden. Gladden fly to center field to start the game. The count to Gladden. Done an outstanding job in left field for the Twins in this series when there was some question as to whether Gene Larkin might be in the outfield when it began. Ball and a strike.
Players like Gladden with that kind of a mentality, the toughness that he has, you could almost expect he's going to be a better performer in these situations than he was during the regular season.
Candiotti trying to pitch out of a jam here. 2 pass balls, a couple of base hits, 1 run already in. 2 in scoring position. Now it's 2-1 to Gladden. Candiotti getting the call over Juan Guzman, who would pitch Game 6 Tuesday if they have a Game 6. 2-2.
This is an inning the Blue Jays almost have to get out of. It's been their hitters in games 3 and 4 that didn't produce in situations like this. Again, the knuckleball had one pitch from getting the Twins out of a jam.
Stays alive.
If you follow radar gun readings, we talk about 90-mile-an-hour fastballs. Candiotti's knuckler is in the low 70s. It's within the speed limit in some states.
And in Europe,
there you go.
a little below the speed limit. 2-2. Fights off another pitch. This crowd really wants to erupt, and they would if Candiotti can dispose of Gladden. They haven't had much to cheer about in the first 2 games since coming over from Minneapolis, with the Twins winning both Friday and Saturday nights. Gladden strikes out, and Candiotti gets Gagne and Gladden. Pitches out of a jam. The Twins get a run, but they lead 2 in scoring position.
Well, it can get you out of it. It's really a fingertip. You dig your fingernails into the ball. Candiotti puts his index finger up on the top, and you push the ball out like that. You push it out. You don't spin it like you do a fastball or a curveball. Watch that. He'll just flick it. And that's why you get no rotation, no spin, and the aerodynamics take over. Who knows where it'll go.
Tapani with a fastball. Strike 1 to Kelly Gruber. Gruber leads the Blue Jays in runs batted in this series. We're going to need a lot of his production today, particularly with Joe Carter not that effective. Broken bat, slow roller, could be trouble for the Twins, and a fine play by Pagliarulo. He has been making terrific plays at third, including a line drive stab in last night's game.
That's a play you have to have communication on, third baseman, shortstop. Gruber drove in 2 runs with a broken bat single like this in game 2. But in this one, Pagliarulo, as you see the bat snap off in his hands, Pagliarulo will cut in front of Gagne right there. Now, if Gagne thinks he can make the play, he'd call him off. He said, go ahead and take it. The off-balance throw just in time.
Strike 2, Maldonado. Pagliarulo with the home run in the 10th inning to capture the 3rd game of the series. Continued his hot hitting last night with a single and a double and 2 runs batted in. And there's a bounding ball foul.
Yeah, this is a key inning for Toronto. Why? It's only the 2nd. Well, because Candiotti just pitched out of a jam in an inning where the Twins could have extended that lead to 4. And every game seems to have a rhythm to it. And if Toronto comes back right now and puts a run or 2 up there, they say, hey, we got a chance. But if Tapani shuts him down, the Twins get back in the dugout, and they get that same thing going against Candiotti again.
Maldonado has a new piece of lumber. Candy has never had a base hit against Tapani. 0 for 13 lifetime. 1 out for the Blue Jays in their 2nd inning. 2-0 the Twins. '27-year-old right-hander pitching on 3 days rest for only the 2nd time this season. And called out on strikes is Maldonado, and that is strikeout number 2 for Kevin Tapani. And Candy doesn't like that call.
Well, the hitters have known the first 4 games with Rocky Rowe, Larry Barnett, Tim Welke, that all umpires have established that anything that's borderline is going to be a strike. Harper catches that ball. See, that's got part of the corner. You could almost see half the ball on it, half the ball off it. That's a strike. The umpires have been very consistent with that pitch.
2 down. Muttering to himself is Maldonado. Pat Borders. He had a big night last night for the Blue Jays. They hadn't gotten much production from the last 4 hitters in their lineup, but Borders had 2 singles and a double and 2 runs batted in last night. 2 outs, the bases are clear. Off the fist and a pop-up that Knobloch will handle, and a 1-2-3 inning for Kevin Tapani. We've completed 2 here at the Sky Dome, and the Twins lead the Jays 2-0. Riley might have been arguing on the 3rd strike to Maldonado. Maybe it's overall frustration of the series.
I think it's a combination of all of those. Cito Gaston is kind of a laid-back, fun-loving guy. The back problem, even by his own admission, has made him a little grouchy. It's altered his personality. You couple that with a couple of the borderline called strikes that he didn't agree with, and this was one of them. This was the last strike to Candy Maldonado, knee high right near the edge. We've said that that has been a strike the entire series, but it was because of that pitch. Gaston came out of the dugout, questioned Mike Riley's strike zone. He was ejected. That's Riley's first ejection of the year that he has tossed anyone.
Chuck Knobloch takes ball 1, so Gene Tennis, who assumed the helm for the 33 games when Cito was unable to manage because of his back injury, now takes over the club. Blue Jays were 19-14 during that span, and it was a critical part of September when Tennis was in charge.
It really was. He took over the ball club when the Blue Jays had a 2.5 game lead, and when Gaston came back, they had the same lead, so he did what he was supposed to. Could be a tougher task here.
Could be auditioning for the Brewers job.
Good chance of that.
2 balls and no strikes. Andiotti falls behind Knobloch, who has 6 hits in the series. That's the most ever for a rookie in the American League Championship Series. On deck is Kirby Puckett. In the air and going back is Maldonado. Catches up with it. 1 away in the 3rd inning. Rich Garcia, American League umpire, and a fine one, has been with us throughout the series. And Rich, on balls and strikes calls, why don't you kind of give us a feeling of what might have happened down there?
Well, Dick, what it looks like Cito really didn't like the call that Mike Riley had made on Maldonado, which was clearly a strike. Obviously, he came out earlier in the inning before on the swing that Borders missed, and he wanted a foul tip on that, which was clearly shown that it was not a foul tip. The hitter swung right through the ball, and Borders just didn't make the play. And I think it's just a matter of frustration right now, and I think he came out and told Mike he didn't really like what he was seeing, and he must have said the wrong thing.
Is that automatic if you question balls and strike, Richie? If manager comes out and says something about a called strike, is that automatic?
Well, it's just the way that he says it. It's according, he can come out and question a pitch or the way the game's going, and if he's not being sarcastic and if he's not being rude or insensitive in a nice way. There's ways of talking to umpires, and me knowing Mike Riley, I've worked with Mike for the last 3 years, and this is Mike's first ejection of the season.
All right, Rich, thank you very much. So Cito Gaston has been ejected here in the 5th game of the League Championship Series. Gene Tennis is in charge. The count to Kirby Puckett is 2 balls and 2 strikes. Puckett homered. Line shot over the left field fence with 2 out in the 1st inning. Goes after a bad pitch, and the ball gets away, and Puckett is aboard, so it'll be another pass ball. They'll call this, though, a wild pitch, charge to Candiotti.
Yeah, look at this thing. This will break like a slider. Look at the last minute. It just continues to break. Borders can't catch up with it. Puckett misses by 1.5 feet. That's way out there. And Tom Candiotti said that when he was in Cleveland with Phil Niekro for that brief period of time, Niekro really encouraged him, don't get frustrated. That pitch will get you in trouble, but it'll get you out of trouble.
It's gotten him in trouble thus far. Kent Herbeck, and that ball nearly flew away from Borders. We have had 2 pass balls and a wild pitch, and now Borders going to the mound. They're struggling, those two.
questioning what the sign might be. Could have been a mix-up. And what you can anticipate Minnesota hitters looking for right now is they got Candiotti a little bit out of his plan in game 1, and he went away from the knuckler and began to throw more fastballs.
Last thing the Jays needed to do, give the Minnesota Twins some extra outs. 2-0 the score. Minnesota leading. 1 out. Runner at first base. That the Twins have done as well as they've had with that balance hitting without Ken Herbeck's production.
That is the advantage of having a lineup 1 through 9 of hitters that make contact, and you don't just depend on 1 or 2 guys, as the Blue Jays depend on their top 3.
Puckett gets back. 1 out, should have been 2 out. Harper struck out in the second inning and advanced on a pass ball, the second thrown by Candiotti. Two balls and a strike. We've already seen how Ken Herbeck has helped the Twins with his terrific fielding. Made a sparkling play in the first inning, getting Olerud for the last out. 3-1 now to Herbeck, with the switch hitting Chili Davis on deck. Long look at third base coach Ron Gardenhire. And a fastball off the chest of Olerud. He'll get the force. No throw to first base. Puckett is retired. Herbeck's the base runner, and there are 2 down for the Twins here in the third. Along with Jim Cotton, Leslie Visser, this is Dick Stockton here at the Sky Dome in Toronto. Game 5, and it could be a clinching game for the Minnesota Twins. They win today. They're American League champions, and they got off on the right foot with 2 out in the first inning on this homer by Kirby Puckett. They've added another run in the second inning, and there are 2 down to Chili Davis, who singled and drove home a run. Ball 1.
You know, with all the action when the Twins are at the plate, very little with Toronto. Gaston's ejection, questionable called strikes. The Blue Jays are still only down 2. Candiotti gets out of this inning. You still have to feel good if you're a Toronto fan about the position they're in.
Could have been a lot worse for the Blue Jays.
Exactly.
2-0. Candiotti got Gagne and Gladden with runners at second and third, and the infield playing in with 1 out at least last inning. But the question is, when will the Blue Jay bats come alive? On the corner, 2-1. Gene Tennis, Corcito Gaston, who is ejected. Short left field, Mookie Wilson, and that'll be out number 3. The Twins lead 1, and in the middle of the third inning, 2-0 Minnesota. Game 4 of the National League Championship Series. The Pirates face the Braves. Randy Tomlin goes for Pittsburgh. Charlie Leibrandt, the veteran southpaw, for the Braves. That's tonight at 8 Eastern, right here on CBS. What do you think?
A couple of crafty left-handers. Don't look for any 95-mile-an-hour heaters. Look for a little change of speeds. Hitters, keep your weight back.
Here's Manuel Lee, still hitless in this series. Strike 1 to Lee. He'll be followed by Mookie Wilson, and then the top of the order for the Jays against Kevin Tapani. Gave up a leadoff single to White in the first inning and has retired 6 in a row. 1-1.
A couple of broken bats in the Blue Jays' second inning, and that's an indication of Kevin Tapani's fastball. It reminds you a lot of Catfish Hunter. Very smooth motion, and the ball sneaks on you much quicker than you think.
He's been the most consistent Minnesota pitcher after getting off to a rocky start. 0-6. He lost only 1 game in his next 19 starts and has gone from there.
Comparable to Jim Abbott of the California Angels, who would have a lot more wins with better run support.
Ground ball, base hit, and Manny Lee finally gets a base hit.
Well, if Toronto ever wants a reason to get something going, it would be right here. Manuel Lee with his first hit. The bottom of the order, Mookie Wilson coming up, and a chance to set the table for the guys on top. They've not been able to do that so far.
You know, the fans have been critical of Lee, but they want him to do well as much as anyone. Here is Mookie Wilson swinging away, and strike 1.
The amazing thing of fans being critical of Manuel Lee, they knew when he started the season he wasn't there to swing the bat. He's there to field the ball. He's not a hitter. He's a fielder. So whatever he gives you at the plate is a bonus.
Mookie is 1 for 4 in the series. 2 strikes as he took a fastball. Rich Hacker, the third base coach for Toronto. Last night the Jays got the leadoff man aboard in practically half of the innings. They've done it in 2 out of the first 3. As Mookie Wilson strikes out, that will be the 3rd strikeout for Kevin Tapani, and there's 1 gone.
Well, you see him windmill that front shoulder, and I don't think it feels 100%. He's not able to generate much pop with that swing. This used to be one of Mookie Wilson's strong suits. That 2-strike count, slapped the ball the other way. Not a lot behind that swing.
Devon White singled on the first pitch in the bottom of the first inning, stole second, and was stranded in scoring position. Can't say the Blue Jays haven't had opportunities. They left 10 men on base in each of the last 2 games, 7 of them in scoring position, both Friday and Saturday nights. Ali Rulo playing in third, and a big cut.
Right behind Jack Morris, you see the durable pitchers in the American League.
One ball and 1 strike.
Now if you're Gene Tennis, who's taken over for Cito Gaston, begin to take a few chances and make a few things happen, like sending Manny Lee in a situation like this.
Into left field, Gladden charges, but it will drop for a base hit. Lee will stop at second, and the Blue Jays have 2 on and 1 out. And Devon White is 2 for 2.
One single up the middle on a pitch inside, takes that one on the outside part of the plate and loops it into left field. Another one of those opportunities that Toronto has had in the early part of games 3 and 4.
They have not been getting the key hits, as you see, and Roberto Alomar, who struck out his first time up. 2 on and 1 out. This is the chance for the Blue Jays, who trail 2-0. Alomar, strike 1. Base hit. They're going to wave home Manny Lee. He'll score going to third base is Devon White, and it's a 2-1 game. Alomar's second RBI of the series.
Their best all-around player after a strikeout in his first at-bat. Gets a pitch up in the strike zone in that situation to deliver. This is the area where the Blue Jays have not been delivering. This is, again, a critical inning in the early part of the ballgame for Toronto.
The cheers are for Joe Carter. He's giving it a try the last 2 games with that ankle injury. He fouled out to Harper, who made a neat play at the dugout his first time up. Runners are at first and third, 1 out. The tying run is at third base. Fans haven't had much to cheer about. And there goes the runner to second, and this could be an extra base hit, and it'll be a double. Ground rule double as it landed in the box seats. White scores the tying run. How about that Joe Carter, Jim?
On the weak ankle, did not have a good swing all of last night. And again, the top 3 in the Toronto order reaches for that. Knows all he has to do is make contact. Again, he doesn't get the leverage off the back leg. I think there's a little adrenaline and determination that went into that swing with the bad ankle. Just inside the line, that actually cost Toronto a run. The ball hopping into the stands, that makes it a ground rule double. If it had hit the bunting and came back into play, Alomar scores easily.
Dick Such, the pitching coach for the Twins, out to the mound, and Kevin Tapani has allowed 4 hits here in the 3rd inning. The Blue Jays have tied the game 2-2 on Joe Carter's double. What a courageous player he has been, playing on an injured ankle and in obvious pain.
Trying to slap a few hits in that bat. Little routine that every hitter has their own routine they go through, and that's Carter's. It worked.
Here's John Olerud, and David West is up and throwing in the Minnesota bullpen. To Olerud with runners at second and third. Still 1 out. Knobloch will go to first for the out, but a run scores. Alomar crosses the plate, and the Blue Jays lead 3-2.
Productive out. Minnesota has the infield back, and this is actually a ground ball into short right field. Knobloch released it a little quickly. Herbeck had to make a diving stop, and obviously with Carter's weak ankle, he could not advance. He had to hold his ground at second.
Olerud with an RBI is 3rd of the series, and Kelly Gruber. One 1-0 to Gruber. 2 outs. 3 runs have come in for the Blue Jays here in the 3rd inning. One and one.
Little extra pressure right now on that man, third base coach Rich Hacker. Joe Carter cannot run well. Base hit to the outfield. What are you going to do? Better make up your mind early.
Foul ball. I would think unless it's an obvious chance for Carter to score easily. He's not going to test it. They want him to remain as the DH. They don't want to aggravate that ankle any more than necessary.
The problem is once he gets running and generates some speed, you can barely tell the limit. There's so many things that can happen. Turning third base, collision at home plate. A lot of reasons you would not want him to run on a base hit.
Left field. Dan Gladden near the line, but the Blue Jays scored 3 runs in the third to take the lead. And we'll return to the Sky Dome after this message and a word from your local station. For the Blue Jays trying to hang on in the series, and Joe Carter delivering with a big double. As the Twins bat in the 4th inning, Brian Harper takes a strike. He struck out, but was safe at first, as one of Candiotti's knucklers got away from Pat Borders. 3-2 the Blue Jays. And a liner into left field, and that's going to drop for a base hit. White cuts it off. Leadoff man is on here, and that's hit number 4 for the Twins.
And again, in the early part of the game, a critical inning. Any starting pitcher knows when your team gets you a few runs and you take the lead, it's important to shut the opposition down. So that's what Candiotti has to do, but he's faced with a lineup 1 through 9. Makes a lot of contact. Best hitting team in the American League.
Including this man, Shane Mack, who singled home a run in the 2nd inning. Base hit to the opposite field, and time is called. Candiotti wants to talk to Borders.
You know, that base hit by Brian Harper, and he gets beat on for his inability to throw runners out, as a lot of catchers do, but there are very few catchers that have hit 300 back-to-back seasons as Harper has done. You go back to the late Thurman Munson and Ted Simmons, really the last ones to do it. So his value is with the bat, not necessarily behind the plate.
Strike. 0-1 to Shane Mack. He has driven in 3 runs for the Twins in this series.
It's like they want to throw to first base. That's that pinky finger, but that would just be to keep Harper close on a hit and run. He is the worst base runner on the Twins team. He's a station-to-station guy. That's not his strong suit. They're certainly not going to have him attempt to steal. They may hit and run.
He doesn't go. Bounder to Lee. Gets the force to throw to first, not in time. Mack beats the relay. Harper is erased at second base, but the Blue Jays have a tougher base runner on now, and Mack with 1 out here in the 4th inning. Three to 2 the score. The Blue Jays lead the Twins, who got single runs in the 1st and 2nd inning. Puckett with his 2nd homer in as many games, and then an unearned run in the 2nd inning. Here is Pagliarulo, who sacrificed his first time. Twins could not take advantage of that opportunity, however. Pitch out. Mack wasn't going.
And when they do that, pitch out, and the runner doesn't go, it increases his chances of going on the next pitch. How many times do you see back-to-back pitch outs?
Jays thinking that way, trying to keep Shane Mack close to the bag.
As most knuckleball pitchers will do, they'll throw to first base a lot. Necro did it. Wilhelm did it. Much easier to steal against that flutter ball.
Count 1-0. Shane Mack goes, and a semi-pitch out, but Pagliarulo got his bat on the ball, and he'll beat the throw. An alert play by Mike Pagliarulo. It looked as if it might be a pitch out. Mack was running, and Pagliarulo is safe at first base. And the Twins have runners at first and second and 1 out.
A sheepish smile on Pagliarulo's face. Mack is off, and that's a straight steal. He's not looking in, but Pagliarulo at the last moment looked like he wanted to hold up. And Minnesota has played good baseball during this series, but they have also gotten a lot of good bounces, and that was one of them.
1 out, runners at first and second, and Greg Gagne did a soft pop-up to Roberto Alomar his first time up. Twins have left 3. They have runners at first and second, trailing now to the Blue Jays 3-2. That's low. There are no easy outs in that Minnesota lineup, and even Gagne, who has driven in a run and has 3 hits, is not one to ignore.
Carlton Fisk said it best. They have offensive or hitter's responsibility. They know what to do in situations. Pagliarulo bunted the last time. They'll hit the ball the other way. They have an idea at every at bat.
There's a strike. 1-1. Candiotti already has gone longer in this game than he did in his first outing when he did not complete the 3rd inning. Two balls and a strike.
Up there with some hard throwers. I mean, look at 4 flamethrowers, Ryan Johnson, Langston, and Clemens, and then you come in with that. It's not how hard you throw. It still can be tough to hit.
Back to the mound to Lee, and the Blue Jays turn the double play and get out of the inning. There were 2 hits, and in the middle of the 4th inning, Candiotti and the Jays still lead 3-2.
This game summary is sponsored by Budweiser.
Kirby Puckett with a home run, his second in as many days. 3 runs for Toronto in the 3rd inning, and Cito Gaston was ejected from the game. The first time in LCS history a manager has been ejected in either league. 6 players have been tossed out, but never before a skipper until today.
Boy, and you can see the frustration. It's been tough times, and he's been.
Kelly Gruber holds up. He went around, they said, so it's a strike. Andy Maldonado. It's Maldonado. Swing. Maldonado was called out on strikes, which precipitated Gaston's problems with home plate umpire Mike Riley.
Intense stare right there by Tapani, looking for the right sign.
A ball and 2 strikes.
Mentioned Gaston's frustration. You know, postseason play, there's parties, festivities. You like to be able to go out. He's not been able to do anything but stay on that bat.
You know, going to the parties is part of the hoopla,
sure,
part of the enjoyment of being in postseason.
Each city does such a great job of hosting one. Twin Cities did, and also here in Toronto.
As long as you get home early from those parties. Of course.
Remember what the late Leo the Lip used to do with that ball. We talked about that the other night. He'd catch those guys autographing that ball in the elevator, and they could catch it, so you have to get back before curfew.
2-2 to the leadoff batter here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Roberto Alomar, who has knocked in a run.
When you you're down 3-1, you're just looking for hope. You're in that dugout. And that young man, Roberto Alomar, has given it to him. He's been one of the three.
And Maldonado strikes out for the second time. And right now, let's go down to Leslie Visser.
Dick, I'm with Vice President Pat Gillick. Pat Cito rarely gets thrown out. What happened?
I think there was a little dispute going on some balls and strikes, and I think Cito spoke to Mike Riley, and one thing led to another, and Mike tossed him out. I think it's only the third time in the history of the ALCS or the playoffs that a manager has been thrown out, but evidently there was a major dispute.
Do you think Mike Riley didn't show the proper restraint?
Well, I think at this type of game, I think you've got to keep all the players and you've got to keep the manager in the game if at all possible because of the importance. But again, I don't know what went on down there.
Well, 3 runs helps to make it feel a little better.
Thanks,
Back to you, Dick.
That Borders erased on a fine play by Pagliarulo for out number 2 here in the 4th inning. But you talk about automatic ejection on a ball and strike.
Yeah, I think most managers know when you come out, and players too, on balls and strikes in a situation like that. Look at the last out. Pagliarulo, we talked about swinging the bat in this series, but this is what got him to the big leagues. Most of the time you'd like to use the glove. Off the turf, you can do it barehanded, as he did.
Here's Manny Lee, who singled after breaking an 0 for 13 drought in this series to start off the 3-run 3rd inning for the Blue Jays, who lead 3-2. Trying to stay alive in the American League Series. 1 ball and 1 strike. You mentioned Pagliarulo. Well, told us the other day, he says he got called up originally by the Yankees because of his glove.
Got there with the leather.
To left field, that'll drop for a base hit. I don't know what bat Manny Lee's using, but he ought to keep using it. 2 for 2. Six hits off of Tapani.
And any time a hitter at the bottom of the Blue Jays lineup gets a hit, that's a bonus. That ball up about bell tie, Lee just fights it off. Because when you get Lee on base or Wilson, this makes those top 3 that much more dangerous.
By virtue of that base hit, Wilson, the number 9 hitter, the Blue Jays at worst will have the top of the order leading off in the 5th inning. They've out hit the Twins 6-5. 1-0. Mookie, part of that great rally by the New York Mets in the World Series, beating the Red Sox.
So he's used to all the excitement in postseason play.
He's used to the excitement of winning in postseason play. Lee, the base runner, with 2 outs here in the 4th. Down the left field line, Gladden playing close to the line. Won't be able to get to this. Let's look at the American League schedule. Should the Blue Jays stay alive and send this to a 6th game, it would be Tuesday night at the Metrodome, 8:30 Eastern. And if necessary, a Game 7 would be Wednesday night.
And the pivotal game there, number 3, Minnesota wins 3-2. That's a Toronto type game, as they have right here. These are the kind of games Toronto usually wins.
Runner doesn't go, and a line drive off the glove of Gagne. Lee will go to 3rd base, and Puckett will throw into 2nd. Runners at the corners.
You mentioned Manny Lee running, and that's what enabled Mookie to get the hit, because see, Gagne was on the move. He was running towards 2nd base. That's what kept him from being able to plant his feet and jump and catch the ball. So Lee on the move gets Wilson a base hit.
In the last 2 games, the Blue Jays' bottom 4 of their order have started to hit. And now with 2 outs, here's Devon White, who's 2 for 2 with a pair of singles. Breaking ball, 0-1. Do they send Wilson?
I think if the count goes to 0-2, maybe in this swing, one more pitch, they'd like to give White a chance to swing.
One ball, 1 strike.
Tapani has a changeup and a split finger. And if you're Gene Tennyson, you can guess, pick up his pitching pattern. Of course, then you can send Wilson. But I think early in the count, he'd rather not take the bat out of Devon White's hand.
Time called. Two and one.
And that would only increase with this count. The fact that I would think Wilson would stay put. Deeper in the count you go, the more favorable it is for the hitter to get his pitch.
Blue Jays trying to add to their 3-2 lead with a 2-out rally. Runners at first and third here in the bottom of the 4th inning. There goes the runner, swung on and missed, and they throw back to Tapani because they were wary of Lee, the runner at third, but a stolen base for Mookie Wilson.
Wilson running, White swinging. See Mookie take a quick peek in. There's about 4 choices you have. There's a good changeup by Tapani. If you're Brian Harper, you bluff towards second and throw to third, or in that instance, you throw it right back to the pitcher and hope to trap Lee off third. Didn't work.
Count is 2-2. 3-2 now to White. For the Blue Jays, that was their 7th stolen base in 8 tries.
That's their game. One thing White has done since coming over to Toronto from California, adjust with 2 strikes and shorten up the swing a little to make contact.
Big opportunity for Devon White, who has already delivered with a couple of singles, 2 in scoring position here. And he walks to load him up. That's the first walk given up by Kevin Tapani. Someone on the other end of that phone, you can be sure. Bases loaded to Roberto Alomar, who knocked in a run in the 3rd inning. Manuel Lee, Mookie Wilson, and Devon White on the base paths. The Blue Jays lead it 3-2. Trying to open up an advantage here in the 4th inning. Line drive, base hit to right field. Here comes the throw. It's not cut off. 2 runs in. 5-2 Toronto.
It's pretty hard to imagine that either of these teams could win 3 in a row. They are so closely matched. Roberto Alomar knows how big that hit is. Lee, Storrs, and Wilson. He's their best in that situation. He's proved it today. A big 2-out hit that Toronto's not seen a lot of.
Alomar has driven in 3 runs in the last 2 innings. 5-2 the Jays, and here's Joe Carter. And he hits it in the air. Signaling is Gagne. And that'll do it, but 2 more runs for the Jays. It's 5-2. And we'll return to the Skydome after this message and an update from CBS News.
Says that she is telling the truth on all major counts. He is a former FBI lie detector expert.
Again, if you can't hear, there was no indication of deception to any of those relevant questions. So it's therefore my opinion that Ms. Hill is truthful when she answered the questions that were asked regarding Judge Thomas.
Professor Hill took the test voluntarily. It was arranged by members of her legal team. Under the dome inside the Senate hearing room, most of the afternoon was taken up by 4 witnesses who said Anita Hill had indicated to them Clarence Thomas had sexually harassed her and that she had told them years ago about it. Now the hearing is turning to cooperating and character witnesses for Clarence Thomas. The hearing about the Supreme Court nominee is expected to continue deep into the night. Dan Rather, CBS News in New York. Now back to the ball game in Toronto.
Heather and a CBS News update. Dan Gladden leading off in the 5th inning, 5-2 the score. The Blue Jays with Tom Candiotti, ground ball, Manny Lee, 1 out. Jim Candiotti pitched out of a couple of jams, 1 in the 2nd inning and then the double play ball in the 4th.
That's why the early innings of a game are so critical. That's what good starting pitching, they enable you to win those because they check the other team. That big 2 outs he got in the 2nd inning gave the Blue Jays hope, and then Alomar's big 2-out hit gave him the 3-run lead.
Chuck Knobloch is 0 for 2. Luffs a bunt, 0-1 the count. Knobloch 0 for 2 today, was 0 for 5 last night after getting off to a terrific start in the first 3 games of the series. 1-1.
You know, you flip-flop the situation today and look at games 3 and 4. It's just the opposite. The Blue Jays had a chance to do what the Twins had today, didn't deliver. That's why they lost those games.
Candiotti's specialty, and he's ahead of Knobloch, a ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, and he's a little more relaxed right now. A little less tension in those fingers and probably a little more action. Look at the bottom fall out of that baby.
It's like Jack Morris last night.
Yeah.
You have a lead, you can do a lot more things. Come at the hitters. Still 1-2.
What it does as a pitcher, it puts you in the frame of mind in a lead situation like this for Candiotti and Morris. I dare you to hit it instead of I don't want you to hit it or I'm afraid you're going to hit it.
73 pitches thus far for Candiotti. We're in the top of the 5th inning. He's staked to a 3-run lead. Right at lead. 2 down. Right now, let's go to Leslie Visser for a report. Leslie?
Dick, Tom Candiotti is not only psychologically prepared for this game, he's also cosmetically prepared. He told me that the day before the game, he cuts his fingernails to a specific length, long enough that he can still dig into the cover of the ball, yet not so long that the nails bend back. He says fans send him everything from gelatin pills to hook nail, which they put on horses. One more note about Candiotti, he wears the number 49, not because of knuckleballers Hoyt Wilhelm or Charlie Huff, but because he's a San Francisco 49er fan. He says when the season ends, he goes over to Candlesticks and shags balls for the quarterbacks. Hopes that isn't for the next couple weeks, though. Dick?
Not a bad off-season avocation.
Be tough on those fingernails, though, trying to catch that pigskin.
And his team, the 49ers, are tied in the 3rd quarter with the Atlanta Falcons. They were behind earlier in the game. Kirby Puckett takes ball 2, 2-0. You think Candiotti is checking on that score between? I don't think so. Do you think so?
Pitcher's got to have a way to relax.
Ball's behind Puckett. One of his rare fastballs there. 3 balls and no strikes. Puckett with a home run in the 1st inning.
May even see him swing on 3-0. Be 3 runs down, but probably get a fastball.
3-1. There's the brace on the right ankle of Joe Carter. Heavily taped as well. That's the curveball, and Candiotti has come back in the count full 3-2. 2 outs, the base is empty here in the Minnesota 5th inning. Up the middle, and Kirby Puckett has himself another base hit. He's 2 for 3 with a home run, so he is on a tear after getting 3 hits and a homer last night.
Yeah, his key at bat, he made an adjustment against Jimmy Key in Game 3 where he started hitting the ball the other way, and that's what he does so well. That ball's actually up and in, but he has the ability. Watch where he takes his ball. It's coming up and in, but he fights it off and gets on top of it. Your 200 hitters pop that ball up. 300 hitters like Puckett get on top of it, drive it through the middle.
6 hits for the Minnesota Twins. Here's a guy that is badly in need of one, is Kent Herbeck. He is 0 for 2 this afternoon and only 1 for 18 in this series. Might get a good pitch here. 2-0.
The real beauty of having more than just the knuckleball, or actually it's a fingernail ball, as Leslie described. The advantage of having the curve and the slider when you fall behind, you get something else to go to.
And another curve. If you're Herbeck and you're ahead on the count 2-0, what are you looking for on that pitch?
Well, the other night, Candiotti surprised him and threw him a couple of fastballs. But the general rule is when Candiotti falls behind, you'll get a curveball. When he's ahead or even, you'll get the knuckler. A fastball would take you by surprise.
It's 3-1 now to Herbeck. There goes Puckett. Base hit to right field. Puckett was running. He'll go to third base as the throw comes into Gruber. So Kent Herbeck gets a base hit, only his second of the series, and the Minnesota Twins are trying to stage a 2-out threat the way the Blue Jays did in their half of the 4th inning. And Galen Cisco will come out to the mound to talk to his pitcher. It's still 5-2 in favor of Toronto.
That hit that Herbeck just got may be a result of that at bat in Game 1. Hitters remember those things because Candiotti threw him 2 fastballs in an at bat back there. That's a rare instance where he tried it again, didn't get it past him.
Talking about how to pitch to Davis, who's the batter with 1 for 2 and a dangerous hitter coming up.
A lot of teams get reputations, and you never think beyond what you hear in the first instance. Twins, fastball hitters. It's not necessarily true. You look up and down that lineup. Herbeck is an example of that. Harper, Davis. They can also handle the off-speed pitches. That's what Davis did in his first at-bat. Maybe what they're talking about right here.
The Chili Davis coming up to the plate represents the tying run. With runners at first and third and 2 outs, 5-2 to score. The Blue Jays lead. Keep in mind the Twins are 1 victory away from getting into the World Series. Puckett and Herbeck are the base runners. 1-0 the count to Davis. Candiotti has successfully pitched out of jams in the 2nd and 4th innings. Twins scored single runs in the first 2 frames today. Falls behind 2-0 to Chili Davis.
May see Tom Hinkie and Dwayne Ward a little earlier than usual today, and you'll even see Jimmy Key in a key situation.
3 balls and no strikes. That's right. Cito Gaston said we might see Key come in to face 1 batter. He would be a possible Game 7 pitcher if the series goes that far, but the concern is right here for Candiotti. Behind Davis, 3-0, 1 pitch away from loading them up.
And he may look fastball and be swinging.
Gene Tennis getting somebody up. Knuckleball on 3-0. He's in there.
Taking no chances. Even on 3-0 with a 3-run lead. The butterfly.
Got confidence in that pitch. Run around. Foul tipped it actually into Borders' mitt, and the count is full.
Broke like a slider. Chances are it was a knuckleball. And Davis starts to swing, then, oh, I want to hold up. Can't do it in time.
Herbeck will be off at first base. Bucket the runner at third. 3-2 with 2 down. There goes Herbeck. Fly ball down the left field line, and this ball is going to go foul. Just foul, and the runners will come back.
Ought to be a very comforting foul ball to Toronto. A smile from Chili Davis, because most of the balls borderline foul or fair have gone Minnesota's way. That's one of the rare ones that just sliced foul.
91 pitches, you notice, by Candiotti, and you mentioned Jimmy Key. Well, Jimmy Key is warming up in the bullpen for the Blue Jays, along with Mike Timlin, who has seen a lot of work. Key is on the right. 3-2 again to Chili Davis. There goes Herbeck. It's ball 4, and the bases are loaded. Twins with a 2-out threat here. Back-to-back singles by Puckett and Herbeck. Davis's walk, and that's only the first walk given up by Candiotti. And the bases are loaded to Brian Harper.
You see in that shot, Tom Candiotti rarely change expression. And that's because as a knuckleball pitcher, if you let your emotions get the best of you, it can be so frustrating watching that thing break out of the strike zone. The only thing you stay on an even keel about is you know that one good one will get you out of a jam.
Here's Harper, who singled his last time up. He's 1 for 2. And he singled going the left center, fouls it off, strike 1. 5-2. The Blue Jays are in front with the Twins here in the 5th inning. Have the bases loaded, and it all came with 2 down. Chop to shortstop. They get the force to end the inning. Visser. It's 5-2. The Blue Jays. Their backs are to the wall, and they got some breathing room in the 4th inning. And a 2-out rally. Roberto Alomar driving in his 2nd and 3rd runs of the game with that base hit. Lee and Wilson crossed the plate to make it 5-2. Candiotti pitched out of the bases loaded jam, and a new pitcher for the Minnesota Twins is Dave West as we go to the 5th inning. John Olerud fouls it away for a strike. West, in his 2nd appearance in the series, worked 2 2/3 innings, giving up only 1 hit in game 3 in the Twins' 3-2 victory in extra innings. 1-1 to the Blue Jays' first sack.
That last out that Candiotti recorded, the biggest for Gene Tennis, who's now managing. Now he's got the game through 5 where he can maneuver that bullpen.
That should go out of play.
We mentioned that Timlin and Wells have been called on quite a bit, but Key was up and throwing, and he could play a couple of outs an inning at a time. Tomorrow was off, so he could piece it together. Dwayne Ward, unlike a lot of closers, that just goes 1. He could go 3 if he had to.
Yeah, he's pretty strong. I mean, you know, he didn't get the call in extra innings the other night when Timlin did. A lot of people thought Ward should have been in there. One of the things that Gaston was second guessed for, but Ward is strong and ready to go. In the air, and that could be playable. Gagne calls for it and makes the count. No, he drops it in foul territory. And lucky for Greg that it wasn't foul grounds. Otherwise, Olerud would wind up on 2nd. Wow. That's unusual for them.
Yeah, take a picture of that. Minnesota known for being the best fielding team in the league, and Gagne one of the best fielding shortstops. Just took his eye off it for just an instant. That ball had a lot of spin on it off the left-hand bat. You could see it hit the thumb of the glove. Didn't get it in the pocket.
Still 1-2. An error has been charged to Gagne. And that is his 2nd error of the series. Kelly Gruber has made 3, unusual for that outstanding 3rd baseman for Toronto. 2-2 to Olerud. Tapani worked 4 innings, allowed 5 runs on 8 hits. Half swing and a roller. Harper guns it. Safe. As the throw took Herbeck off the bag.
Tries to check in time. Harper springs out from behind the plate, but then rushes his throw just a little. Herbeck has to come off the bag and leap to grab it. Can't get the foot down in time. Well, it's a Blue Jay day today, and these fans appreciate it.
An error has been charged to Harper. Scorer correctly thought he would make the play. It got there in time. So 2 errors already here in this inning, and Kelly Gruber lifts a fly ball that Dan Gladden flags down for out number 1. So 2 errors on the same batter. 1 out now and 1 on.
Now, the beautiful thing about postseason baseball is because it's all condensed into a 7-game series. You know, all the talk about Manny Lee, replace him, should he be there? He's 0 for 13. Now you look at your scorecard today. He's a guy that's come up with the 2 big hits to get things started for Toronto.
And he's already fielded 8 chances flawlessly. Here's Candy Maldonado. Called out once on a strike, swinging the other time. Something got loose down the left field line. That's why we have the delay. And a fan who thinks it's a good idea to delay the game with 50,000 fans.
Very unlike Toronto fans.
Let's bring you up to date. Kirby Puckett got the scoring underway. Shane Mack with an RBI single. It was 2-0 in favor of the Twins. They were often running in the first 2 innings. Cito Gaston was ejected for only the 2nd time this year. But it might have lit a fire under a guy like Joe Carter, who had an RBI single. Roberto Alomar with 2 singles and 3 RBIs, and some clutch pitching by Tom Candiotti, and as a result, the Blue Jays lead 5-2 in a must game for them. Twins coming in with a 3-1 lead in this series could wrap it up. So Maldonado with 1 out. Olerud the runner.
Looking for a sign. I doubt there's very little that either of these teams can do to surprise the other, because when you go back to the second to the last weekend of the season, they have played 11 of the last 15 games against one another because of the unusual scheduling in the American League.
And the home park hasn't really made much of a difference. Twins have won 2 here. Jays 1 there. 2 balls and no strikes to Maldonado.
Not necessarily a pull hitter when you look at those numbers. The left-hand pitcher, 2-0 count. You can bet he'll be looking to turn on one here.
He was trying.
Seeing David West on the mound, that was one of the kind of subtle moves, not really so subtle, that Tom Kelly made that helped the Twins get their lead in this series, bringing David West in to face Joe Carter with a 1-2 count. And he got him out, then struck out Maldonado and Gruber.
Got to have a long contract to be able to make that kind of a move. He's got a lot of confidence too, and ability. In the air to center field, Kirby Puckett. Olerud halfway will go back. 2 down. A big one tonight. The Tomahawks will try to help the Braves open up a 3-1 lead against the Pirates at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Randy Tomlin and Charlie Lebrand, 2 lefties, will be on the mound. Big game for Tomlin, huh?
Left-handers have had a lot of success over there in Pittsburgh. John Smiley and Zane Smith.
Pat Borders tried to bunt his way on last time up, is 0 for 2.
Tomlin is one of those quiet guys, and you look at his numbers, don't look that impressive, but he has won a lot of big games for Pittsburgh.
I would think tonight's game is really critical for the Pirates because Steve Avery was brilliant in Game 2 with that shutout, and he'll be on the mound in the 5th game in Atlanta before the home folks. Good stop by Harper, no advance.
And there are pitchers that can beat you, as Charlie Leibrandt can do, but then Avery's the kind of guy that can dominate a team, and that's what he did in his first start, Game 2.
Well, this crowd's a lot more lively than they were last night. Twins look like they had quieted them down for good in the first 2 innings. Not the case. Right fielder Shane Mack. And that'll do it. 1 left. And we have completed 5 innings with the Blue Jays up 5-2. 2-run 4th, and the Blue Jays would like to be in the minority here. 83% of the teams that have taken a 3-1 lead have gone on to win in postseason best-of-7 series. 4 teams have not.
And you know, the
more than that.
Great thing about numbers is they tell you what happened in the past, but from a player's standpoint, they have nothing to do with what's going to happen today or in the future. They just tell you what happened years ago. Players don't pay that much attention to that.
Blue Jays would like to be the 8th team, but they've got a long way to go for that. Shane Mack takes a ball. He has knocked in a run for the Twins today. Candiotti working into his 6th inning. There's a curveball, 1-1. Giving up 2 runs, only 1 of them earned. Has walked only 1 and struck out 2. Like a broken bat looper into right field. That'll drop for a base hit. So Mack 2 for 3, and the leadoff man is on. Well, we'd like to say hello to our friends from CTV, who are bringing CBS's coverage of postseason baseball all the way across Canada. They love their baseball. A great history of baseball here in Canada.
And this has been a great franchise, much maligned. You talk about the Blue Jays not winning. Compare them to Seattle. They're the same age. This team's had a lot of winning years. Seattle just had their first this year.
Mike Pagliarulo, 1 for 1 officially, is sacrificed. Mike Timlin is warming up for the Toronto Blue Jays. Candiotti can get through this inning. The Blue Jays bullpen situation would be in pretty fine shape. 1-0.
Now that 6th inning for a manager is critical, but I would think Gene Tennis will make a move very quickly here. Candiotti has had some long innings, had to work out of jams. Let's say 1 more base runner, you'll see one of those 2.
Looking at the same screen you're looking at is Gene Tennis. 1-1.
High-tech baseball. Sit in the dugout, check on them, but can't work any crossword puzzles or have any fun down there if you're a reliever. They watch every move you make.
They ought to have the telestrator, the chalkboard like you have, and they can doodle a little bit.
Sure.
Back the base runner, 1-1 with nobody out. 3-run lead for the Blue Jays here in the 6th inning. Candiotti's next pitch to the plate will be his 100th of the game. Two balls and a strike to Pagliarulo.
You know, if he were a fastball slider pitcher, that would be a significant number. But most of the time, knuckleball pitchers and that soft curve, 100 pitches will not take the same amount of strain or fatigue Tom Candiotti like it would a fastball pitcher like a Jack Morris or a Juan Guzman.
And a bounding ball is foul. Palliarulo waited until the last second to offer at that pitch.
That's the key as a hitter against a pitcher like Candiotti, is to try to stay back as long as you can. Easy to say, sometimes tough to do.
Interesting how Cito Gaston's pitching strategy might be working out for him. He decided to go with Candiotti in game 1, again in game 5 today, and not go with Guzman, who won the only game. Now, if the Blue Jays win, they've got Guzman, the fireballer, in game 6 at the Metrodome, so it could get interesting. 2 balls and 2 strikes. He looked him back. So now we know why he wears 49, not because of Hoyt Wilhelm or Charlie Huff, because he's a 49ers fan.
Because of Joe Montana.
And the runner goes. 2-2 pitch taken for ball. The throw offline and in at second with a stolen base is Shane Mack. That's his second in 3 tries in this series.
See, if Shane Mack is thrown out, every Minnesota fan says, what are you doing running 3 runs down? But Tom Kelly says against the knuckleballer, it's a little easier to steal. I'll take these runs one at a time. He's not going to get them back all at once, so thus he'll still use the running game. Down 3.
Well, nobody out. Horse is off, and there's a ball hit to center field. White will have to play it on a hop, rounding third, and being held there is Mack as the throw comes all the way into Borders. Ron Gardenhire not taking any chances with his team down by 3 runs and nobody out. So Mack is at third and Palliarulo is on at first with none out.
Remember, you mentioned on the previous pitch how he waited till the last moment. Watch the way he keeps his hands back there. The hands stay back even though the body's out a little, and that's what enables Palliarulo to generate enough power on that swing to line it into right center.
Well, Gene Tennis coming out to the mound, and you can see it. You all right? But he already knows that he wants Timlin here. Candiotti should get a big hand because he has delivered in a big game for the Blue Jays. Here it comes. And we'll return to the Sky Dome after this message and a word from your local station.
Hitter. Let's look at this one.
Leslie Visser came out early, obviously, to do her homework. Opposite field hit. Let's go to her for a report. Les?
Dick, I should visit with batting coach Terry Crowley. Actually, speaking of hitting, I am holding Tom Candiotti's bat. Now, there's optimism. They've been taking batting practice, the pitchers, in case they get to the World Series. He's played his whole career in the American League, but he's got this bat. He says mostly he practices bunting. Dick?
That's all he hopes to do as Candiotti leaves after a job well done to the clubhouse. So Mike Timlin is aboard, replacing Candiotti here with runners at first and third. Nobody out. The tying run is at the plate. Greg Gagne. Timlin was the losing pitcher in the 10th inning the other night when Palliarulo homered to win it 3-2 in game 3. Foul ball and a strike.
Big inning for Mike Timlin because the latter part of the year he has had some problems coming in with men on. If you look at one of those baseball statistics, inherited runners, when he comes in with men on, he's had a very difficult time getting out of the inning with other pitchers' runners on base. So this is big for him.
And here are the runners. Mack at third base, Palliarulo at first. Timlin has been in 4 of the 5 games thus far. 1 ball and 1 strike to Gagne, who's 0 for 2, hit into a double play his last time up to end a Twins bid. Big contrast in velocity from Candiotti to Timlin.
That's the reason oftentimes a manager makes the move.
And it's popped up. Borders gives chase. Makes the catch right near the photographer's box. And that's out number 1 in the 6th inning. Mack remains at 3rd. And Pags at 1st.
Well, there's the results. The fastball got in on Gagne. He popped it up. Borders judges this right. Knows he's very close to the railing, so he uses the body to cradle that ball right into his chest and catches it cleanly. That extra photographer's well right there that he had to deal with and dodge around.
1 out, and Dan Gladden 0 for 3 after getting 3 hits last night for the Twins. 5-2, the Blue Jays lead in the 6th inning. Ball 1.
Sinker ball pitcher, and his sinker has not been doing that lately. And this is a situation he'd like to get the ground ball.
That was the kind of pitch he wanted. Fouled. 1-1. Big effort today by Tom Candiotti, who did not finish the 3rd inning in game 1 of this series. Taken out after giving up a couple of hits in the 6th. Now it's up to the Jays bullpen. Twins, though, fighting back. 2-1 to the rookie second base, or to the veteran left fielder. Knobloch is waiting on deck. Mack and Pagliarulo. Good fastball, let her high. 2-2.
Sometimes you even get by with a high sinker. Gladden thought that ball was going to be high. Watch the sinking action. He takes it right there. Looked like it was going to be letter high, but instead it came in well below the belt for a strike.
That's Gruber. He's going to go home with it, and the tag is not in time. Mack beat the tag, and the Twins get a run. Pagliarulo goes to second base. This could be a critical play in the ball game because seemingly they had Mack at home, but Borders somehow did not put the tag on in time.
Boy, I'll say Gruber makes a decision too high on the bounce to get 2. Let's get the lead run. Watch what Borders does. The ball's in his glove, and he reaches with his bare hand to tag Shane Mack. Mike Riley right on the play to pick it up. Normally you protect the ball in the glove, and Borders almost like he had a little vapor lock. I mean, he reaches with the bare hand. There's no ball there. The ball's in Pat's glove. A costly mistake for Toronto on a big break for Minnesota.
Question, Jim, with a 5-2 lead and 1 out, why would Gruber go home and not try to get the force at second, the sure out, and maybe a double play?
Well, I think the first thing, the high bounce, there's no chance to get 2, and the easiest play in front of him was let's go to home and Mack is out. If Borders makes the proper play, he is out.
So now it is 5-3, and now the tying runs are aboard. On at second base, Pagliarulo, Gladden on at first. It'll be a fielder's choice. And here is Knobloch looking for his first hit today. 0 for 3. Ball 1 inside. The Twins coming back. And a big play at the plate.
I think that was just one of those reflex actions where Borders suddenly just reached for him with the bare hand and said all of a sudden I don't have the ball there.
Another chopper in front of the plate, and Borders makes sure that ball stays foul.
You know, your point about Gruber going to home, the other subtle thing that enters into that, he's had 3 throwing errors in this series. He's had some problems throwing the ball, and the shortest throw was to home. And I think against a team like Minnesota, even though you have a 3-run lead, if you can cut down a run at home, that would be the way to go.
Ruled it a fielder's choice, an error charged to Pat Borders, the catcher. No run batted in for Dan Gladden. One and one with one out. Knobloch with a big opportunity here to bring the Twins closer. Line drive down the right field line. One run will score, could be extra bases, and Maldonado has problems in the right field corner. They're going to wave home Gladden. The throw comes into the infield, and the Twins have tied the game at 5-5. Boy, this rookie continues to amaze with his poised play in the field, and a big two-run single has tied the score. He ends up at second. It'll be ruled a double, so give Knobloch a two-base hit.
Two teams as even as these two. Just a costly mistake as Borders made is all it takes, and Knobloch with a good approach there, not trying to pull the sinking fastball, takes it the other way. Pagliarulo scores easily, and Gladden, who has good speed, Gardenhire can wave him home because Maldonado juggled that ball in the right field corner.
Gene Tennis out to the mound. Kirby Puckett scheduled to be the hitter, and not taking any chances of the Blue Jays, Dwayne Ward, who should be very well rested, will be coming in a tie game.
The score. Talking with Richie Garcia, American League umpire, up here in the booth. Watch what Borders does with the bare hand. Oftentimes what an umpire looks at, the catcher will tag the runner with the glove. No ball in the, he'll keep the ball in the bare hand. Borders did it disreversed. Riley right on the call, he called it properly.
Dwayne Ward is aboard, and in his only appearance in the series became the first Blue Jay to record a save in postseason play. That was in the only Toronto win in Game 2, of course. Facing the dangerous Kirby Puckett, who has a homer and a single. Hard thrower. One out. Lead run is in scoring position. Knobloch, who doubled home a pair of runs to tie this game. Dwayne Ward, 81 appearances, led the league.
Durable, and still at this stage of the season when a lot of players showing a little fatigue, a lot of pitchers getting it up there in the 90s with a nasty slider.
One and one to Puckett, who has 5 hits, including 2 homers in his last 7 trips. He has come alive in a big way for the Twins. Urbeck on deck. 1 out. Andiotti started this inning. Timlin pitched to third, and now Ward. He went around. Jim McKean gave it some thought.
Puckett looking at him. This is a tough one. Puckett is so strong, he can hold those hands back in a hurry. But see the bat? I mean, it barely went past the front of the plate, but it did. Just.
Puckett's been known to go after pitches like that. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, he is the one hitter in the Twins lineup that could give Ward more trouble because he hits the ball hard off the ground. And you're not going to get it airborne very often off Dwayne Ward.
Three and 2 to Puckett. Twins have stormed back for 3 runs here in the 6th inning to tie the game at 5-5. Kirby Puckett with the count full in position to try to give Minnesota the lead. Knobloch is at second base. Seven hits in the series for Knobloch. The rookie record's 9. Here's the 3-2. Puckett goes down, and that's out number 2. We're at the Sky Dome in Toronto, where the crowd has been alternately cheering on its feet, waving handkerchiefs, and quiet. Blue Jays had a 5-2 lead. They got a run in, and then Chuck Knobloch with a double into the right field corner tied the score. Dan Gladden being waved home after Pagliarulo to make it 5-5. Ward has come on to strike out Puckett, and here's Kent Herbeck. 1 for 3, singled his last time. Good fastball.
Usually get one. Hitters will go up there against Ward, say, I get one fastball that might be hittable. Once you're in this position, you'll see that slider or fastball below the knees.
Oh, 2 to Herbeck. Ward pitched 2 innings and gave up 1 hit, striking out 2 in his Game 2 save. You're right, Ward, if he could go 3 innings, 2 more after this could set things up for Tom Hinkie if it goes that way. Popped up. Alomar got rid of his cap, but the Twins have tied it up. 3 runs and a big error, and 2 of the runs are earned.
See, hitters, even on an inside pitch, that's a called strike. Hitters are so conscious of the ball being outside, and they don't like it inside. I mean, that ball's on the inside corner, and they're backing off.
2-1 to Lee. Bottom of the order has come through for the Blue Jays. Lee has 2 hits, and Mookie Wilson on deck has a single. Two balls and 2 strikes. The Twins pitching situation is bright because of what Morris did last night, going 8 innings.
They have Willis, Bedrosian, who worked an inning, and saver Rick Aguilera, who would not be in this ball game unless the Twins took the lead. They're rested.
Fly balls. Shane Mack over. And there's 1 away. Well, so far we've seen Tapani, who worked 4 innings, and David West. 2 of the 3 pitchers, Aguilera the other, acquired from the New York Mets in that big Frank Viola deal that was supposed to give the Mets a championship, and it's helped the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah, it really has. And General Manager Andy McPhail will probably be the American League Executive of the Year. A lot of question about that trade, but he was looking for the future, and it's arrived at 91.
Switch hitting Mookie Wilson. Strike 1. 1 for 2. Crowd has quieted down. They've been shocked by the Minnesota rally in the 6th inning. Tying the game at 5-5. Good fastball. West is ahead of Wilson, 2 strikes.
Most switch hitters, as Lee and Wilson and White are, will tell you, the first at bat in the game that they have to turn around and hit the other way is the toughest.
And he strikes out. It was overmatched there as West picks up his first strikeout.
West has had good success against Toronto because a lot of the Blue Jays hitters are breaking ball off speed hitters, and watch that fastball. Gets right past Wilson. Can't catch up with him. Same thing with Lee. That's a new one.
It's a Blue Jay. Yeah. Devon White. Perfect on the afternoon. He held up. 2 wins for Jack Morris in the series. Slowly hit to Herbeck. He'll make the play in a 1-2-3 inning for Dave West. We've completed 6. 5-5 the score. Twins need a win to wrap up the pennant. Tonight at Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, Tomlin and Liebrandt will be the pitchers. What a great story the Atlanta Braves are and their fans after finishing last a year ago, as the Twins did in the American League.
I think that's what's great for fans and also baseball executives. You can look at two teams like that and know if you make some critical acquisitions like Chili Davis, Jack Morris, Paul Urulo, Terry Pendleton, you can get to the top in a hurry.
Dwayne Ward retired the 2 batters he faced in the 6th inning to end the 3-run rally by the Twins. Chili Davis, strike 1 to him. He has singled, flied out, and walked.
This for a hitter is like trying to hit about a 91-mile-an-hour shot put. Dwayne Ward, that's how heavy that fastball is.
2 strikes. He's well rested.
And even if he worked 3 innings today, or 4 if they need him to win this game, he'll be back out there again Tuesday.
New Mexico native. Likes to read those Louis L'Amour Western novels. Foul back. There's another novelist, Tony Hillerman, who has written some good Indian stories taking place in the Southwest, and Dwayne Ward is getting into that author as well.
A lot of, when you're a short man, you got 7 innings to read those things down there in the bullpen.
Yeah, right. 1 and 2. How many times have you ever seen a relief pitcher bring a novel out to the bullpen? You remember?
Well, you'd be surprised.
Not that they don't read, but that may not be the place. Yeah, I don't see any bookmarks out there.
Pretty relaxed.
Foul ball. Still 1 and 2.
Ex-Met manager Davey Johnson used to love those Louis L'Amour novels. Read them in the clubhouse after a game. Every now and then we'd trick him. We'd cut the last 10 pages out. Kind of ruined his day.
I guess. One ball and 2 strikes to the leadoff hitter, Chili Davis, and he strikes out. Ward has struck out 2 of the 3 he's faced. Right now, let's check in with Leslie Visser. Les?
Dick, Brian Harper, the next batter, grew up in Los Angeles, and he idolized fellow Californian Ted Williams. He said everyone called him Ted as a kid, and he drew his inspiration from reading Williams' famous book, The Science of Hitting. I think Tony Hillerman's next on his list. Dick?
Start with this baseball stuff and then get on to the novels, right? Here's Harper. Strike 1 to him. He's 1 for 3.
That is a nice story. Brian Harper, a utility player for so many years. He said, I forgot how to hit, didn't get enough at bats. Read the Williams book. He's back on track.
0-2.
As you can read all the books you want. And if Dwayne Ward gets that slider in that location that he just did and the fastball down, you're not going to hit him.
Cito Gaston was ejected. Gene Tennis has taken over. Ward wastes that one. In the air. Manny Lee waves everyone away, and they're 2 down in the 7th inning. Tension begins to build because of the importance of this game. Minnesota, with a victory, would win the American League pennant, their 3rd in history. And the Blue Jays looking to send the series back to Minneapolis in Game 6 on Tuesday night. Shane Mack with a couple of hits, an RBI. He scored a run. Ward looks tough out there.
Get you out in a hurry. He doesn't have to go 3-2 very often. Get you out in 3 pitches a lot of times.
One and 1. Gruber is guarding the line at 3rd to protect against the extra base hit. Olerud the same at first base. Center fielder White got a late start, comes in, and he makes the catch. What a play by White.
Late jump because of the full swing, and the ball is hit off the end of the bat, but those long, graceful strides and that reach enable him to make the catch. What great ability. Not many better than Devon White.
5-5 to the bottom of the 7th. Blue Jays looking to sing along, hopefully getting a lead with Alomar, Carter, and Olerud facing David West, beginning his 3rd inning of relief. Here in the 7th inning of a 5-5 game, they've scored in bunches, both teams this afternoon. Alomar with 3 runs batted in. 2-0 pitch. 3-0 to Roberto Alomar. And if he gets on, he's got the speed.
And Joe Carter coming up.
Him on 4 pitches.
That's big plus for Toronto. Anytime Alomar gets on base, it is. But this situation, he's their best base stealer. He'll try to guess with West, and if he steals second base, Joe Carter, who is primarily a pull hitter, with that bad ankle, could just ground the ball the other way and advance the runner. Instead of an RBI guy, he could be an advance the runner guy.
That's what Gene Tennis did in the final month of the season, even with Carter at the plate. Blue Jays still with just 1 homer in the series, that by Carter in game 3. We'll watch Alomar. Ball 1 to Carter, who's driven in a run with a double. 5-5, Jays in the 7th.
David West trying to use that slide step to get the ball to home plate a little quicker, but you don't get as much on it when you do that.
One and one.
If he guesses right, he's going to get there most of the time.
3rd highest percentage in the league. But West has to divide his attention to Alomar and Carter. Ball and 2 strikes.
This is what's become popular now with pitchers that have a hard time getting the ball to home plate quickly enough. The slide step has got an added advantage, as it did in that pitch. The ball gets on the hitter a little quicker. Carter was late on that.
Broken bat. As the bat flies out to shortstop, it's fouled off to the left. Sawed it in half.
You might wonder in that situation why Joe Carter would not be called on to bunt. Most of the time, your power hitters, this is right in the kitchen. Nothing left but handle. Most of the time, your power hitters are never called on to bunt, so they're not very good bunters. So why ask a guy to do something that he's not very good at doing or not accustomed to?
That's the smile that we haven't seen for a couple of days on the face of Joe Carter. Injured his ankle in game 3. Helpless last night, though he played. What an inspiration he's been to his club today. Two and two.
This would be the go pitch if he's going to go. West doesn't want to go to 3-2.
Carl Willis is warming up in the Minnesota bullpen. Tapani worked 4 innings. This is West's 3rd inning. Runner doesn't go, and Carter fouls it straight back. Alomar appeared to be going and then stopped.
Trying to read the move and get a jump. Base runners usually know that first step or two if they've gotten the proper start. Alomar is such an intelligent player. He took 2 quick steps, knew he couldn't steal.
There's Willis, who has been one of the bullpen heroes for the Twins in this series. Carter stays alive. 5-5 the score. The Toronto Blue Jays trying to take the lead. A loss sends them home, and the Twins into the World Series. A victory extends the series to at least 6 games. Twins have out-hit the Jays 10-8. To Joe Carter. Olerud is on deck.
And I would think Roberto Alomar would be going. Carter, a high strikeout ratio, but he knows he'll get a fastball here. Just has to make contact with it.
He's opened up the lead at first. He goes, and the pitch is foul deep. Off the facade. Remember the other night, Carter hit one into the upper deck foul down the left field line. It was off of that Tom Kelly decided to bring in West to face him.
Goes back to a lesson he learned from his dad, Joe, when Tom Kelly went to New York Giants game. He said, when the hitters start making loud outs and fouling it off loud, like Carter did, it's time to get him out of the game. And that's what he did.
Expect Alomar to go. He doesn't go, and it's popped up left side of the infield. Mike Pagliarulo has it, and there's one out. Alomar back to first.
Great effort, but not the same swing. Look at the back ankle again. Just cannot generate the leverage to turn on that pitch. The hitter needs a good foundation. Carter doesn't have one today.
Here is John Olerud. He's 0 for 3, but drove in a run on a ground out back in the 3rd inning. 5-5, bottom of the 7th. There's a strike.
Well, to David West's credit, and pitching coach of the Twins, Dick Such, worked very hard with him on it. It is that slide step that's confusing Roberto Alomar. I mean, certainly if it were not for that, he would have stolen second base by now. He just is not able to get a good jump.
That's the preparation you were talking about.
Yeah, no team in baseball, at least in the American League, more prepared in all phases of the game than Minnesota. I think that's Tom Kelly's key word.
Another pop-up to the left side of the infield, and again Mike Pagliarulo, this time in foul grounds, makes the play. And 2 down after Alomar led off the inning with a walk.
If it were not for Roberto Alomar being on first base right now and a threat to steal, I think you'd see Carl Willis in this game with right-hander Kelly Gruber. But Tom Kelly is saying, first of all, I want to keep Alomar at first base. If he was, for example, would steal second, then I think you might see Willis come in the game.
Herbeck calls time and is talking to West about the possibility of throwovers and such.
Everybody wants to know what the pitcher's going to do. You know, as soon as West releases the ball, Herbeck would want to get a little jump off first base to be in position to field the ball.
Well, Gruber's a good run producer. Jays might want to get Alomar in scoring position. 2 down.
Also, first basemen and pitchers have little silent signs. You might watch for Herbeck to like wiggle his glove, or that means throw it over here. Or if he keeps it silent, I'm expecting it to go home.
To Kelly Gruber. hitless today, has knocked in 4 runs in the series. 2 down in the 7th inning, and a line drive foul. For those of you expecting to see 60 minutes, you're watching Game 5 of the American League Championship Series between the Minnesota Twins and the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm Dick Stockton along with Jim Cott, and our score is tied 5-5 in the bottom of the 7th inning. 60 minutes will be seen immediately following this game, except on the West Coast. Blue Jays need a victory to keep the series going. A Minnesota triumph will wrap it up in 5 and send them to the World Series. Alomar doesn't go, and Gruber hits a foul fly. Herbeck gives chase. 1-2 the count. We're at the Sky Dome in Toronto, where the Twins have won the first 2 games here against the Blue Jays. 5-5 the score. At one time, the Blue Jays had a 5-2 lead. That's where they want Kelly Gruber to hit the ball right on that target.
He's got the power to do it.
And a fly ball left field. Gagne, who dropped one earlier in foul ground, squeezes this one to retire the side. A leadoff walk by Alomar is wasted. We move to the 8th inning of a tie game. You never would have pitched 25 years if you had wielded that tomahawk in your career.
That's the truth.
Dwayne Ward has worked an inning and 2/3, has struck out 2, and Mike Pagliarulo 2 for 2 actually, with a sacrifice, leading off in the top of the 8th inning. Remember, he won the game in the 10th inning of Game 3 with a home run. Fly ball, Devon White. He finished the 7th inning with a great running catch to Rob Mack.
He makes less body movement catching a fly ball. I mean, he'd be a great punt returner. This kind of decoy, it makes no movement, just like he's always got it measured, and it's right there chest high.
Big pickup from the California Angels. Everyone talks about the San Diego trade, but that acquisition from California. Greg Gagne 0 for 3 this afternoon. Fastball is fouled off to the right. But Dwayne Ward keeps mowing him down.
We mentioned he can get hitters out in a hurry. The reason, as a hitter, you go up there saying, I better swing at the first pitch. That's the best one I'm going to get to hit. Now, Gagne missed that one. Watch these next couple. Probably be sliders down around the knees or something that's very hard to handle.
2 strikes. Tito Gaston said he went with Timlin instead of Ward the other night in Game 3 because he wanted to save Ward for the next day.
Can't save him anymore today.
And a base hit. Well stroked by Gagne through the hole. Gagne with his first hit of the afternoon, and with 1 out, the Minnesota Twins have a go-ahead run aboard. First hit off of Ward.
Got a rare hanger on 0-2, a hitter's pitch, not the pitcher's pitch. Gagne took advantage of the mistake.
Dan Gladden looking for his first hit, is 0 for 4 this afternoon.
And now Toronto was not able to run even with Roberto Alomar. West did a good job with a slide step. I would expect to see Minnesota hit and run or steal here against Ward. You're not going to get many chances against this guy. When you get a base runner, you better try to cash it in, and I think Tom Kelly will try to do that.
Ball 1. Gladden did not face Ward the other night. Checking with Gardenhire. See whether the hit and run may be on now. It's on, and the pitch is swung out and missed. The throw to second, and out at second base. And a great tag by Manny Lee. He had to come across the base. Good throw, too.
Pat Borders made a mistake earlier, but watch him handle that slider, straighten up and throw it accurately, and Lee completes the play with the quick tag. Ward gets it to the plate quickly, even though Borders has to stand up. And then in the end of your picture, you'll see Lee with the sweep tag just get Gagne on the arm before the hand touches the bag. So a good three-part play, Ward, Borders, and Lee.
And Gladden promptly gets a base hit to left field. So you see the importance of that out at second base. The Twins would have had 2 on and 1 out. Instead, there are 2 down, and Gladden's the base runner.
The importance of the throwing out Gagne, and also you're seeing the effect of Dwayne Ward into his 3rd inning. That's 2 sliders that he's hung. Normally keeps that pitch down around the knees. Example, short reliever is usually limited to about 2 innings of work, so that might be affecting him right here.
12 hits for the Minnesota Twins. Runs are all even. Gladden the base runner. Here's Knobloch. They could play hit and run with this combination as well. Knobloch doubled home 2 runs, the tying runs in the 6th inning. Cutting edge we're at right here with the score tied. Twins run. If they can score, they can wrap up the pennant. Blue Jays win. We move on to game 6. Two and 0. Ward not quite as effective this inning. You're right, as he was in the previous 2.
Not quite as. Now Tom Kelly's option, because of that, he's seen a couple of high pitches. Knobloch in a 2-0 count. Has to get a strike, so you can start Gladden and let Knobloch make some contact, and he's shown us he can hit the ball in the gap.
And Gladden is off. The pitch taken for a ball. The throw to second base, safe. Gladden with his 3rd stolen base in as many attempts in the series, and the Twins have a runner in scoring position, and 3-0 the count on Knobloch.
Last one did not work. This one does. Borders with a good throw right to Lee, but Gladden got a jump on Ward that time. See, doesn't have the speed of a Gagne, but he's a better base stealer. Gets a better jump. That's an example of it. Gagne was thrown out. Gladden's safe.
To continue on your view of Dwayne Ward and whether he's losing something, David Wells, the left-hander, is warming up now in the Blue Jays bullpen. 3-0 to Knobloch, and he walks, so Ward loses him. Runners now at 1st and 2nd, and 2 away. There's Ward. There's Wells, I should say.
And he'd be getting ready for Kent Herbeck if Ward doesn't get Puckett out. Well, that is a history of short relievers. It's like distance runners and sprinters. They're trained differently, and oftentimes when short relievers hit that 30, 35 pitch limit, they just run out of juice. And it's pretty obvious that Ward doesn't have the same stuff here that he did back in the 6th inning.
Well, obviously, if he does not get Puckett, Wells will come on to face Kent Herbeck, the on-deck hitter. So time to discuss how they're going to pitch to Kirby, who has a homer and a single this afternoon. Big opportunity for Kirby Puckett. Gladden is at second, Knobloch at first. The big run is at second, the go-ahead run in a 5-5 game. 8th inning. 1-0 to Puckett.
Not there. Trying to muster it up for just one more good pitch. Dwayne Ward is.
And a base hit to right field, and they're going to wave the runner home. Here comes the throw. It's high, and scoring is Dan Gladden. And the Minnesota Twins have taken a 6-5 lead here in the 8th inning. Kirby Puckett delivers again. Runners move up on the throw. Puckett goes to second and Knobloch to third. We want to welcome the viewers who have seen the Atlanta-San Francisco NFL game here at the Skydome in Toronto. The Minnesota Twins have just taken a 6-5 lead in the top of the 8th inning. If they go on and win, they'll capture the pennant. And it was Kirby Puckett who delivered the big hit, and the throw to the plate high, and Gladden came across with the lead run.
Another subtle example of the loss of Joe Carter. Carter with a very accurate throwing arm from right field. Maldonado average, but not like Carter. That enabled Gladden to get in. And Puckett's big hit. You mentioned Gene Tennis going to the mound to talk how to pitch to Puckett. Nobody's been able to figure out how to do it yet.
Ward leaves. Wells will be coming in, and we'll be back.
Hey, how many cooking classes have we taken together?
Herbeck is 1 for 4 this afternoon. Chop foul as Alomar is playing very deep, almost in short right field, as the second baseman for the Jays.
The early part of this game, it was a Toronto type game, low scoring. But when it gets into this territory, 6-5, that's more of a Twins game. Blue Jays have not come back a lot. They'll have to today to win.
Knobloch is at third. Puckett is at second base. Line drive, and that's going to drop for a base hit. Mookie Wilson to retrieve, but the Minnesota Twins are almost to the World Series as Knobloch and Puckett score, and Ken Herbeck drives in 2 runs, and it's an 8-5 ball game. Sooner or later, you knew those two would deliver, Puckett and Herbeck, and they have.
Up and down the lineup, the Twins are a good hitting team, but if there's 2 players that have to hit for them to be successful, it's Puckett and Herbeck, and they've done it today. Again, Herbeck has not had a lot of opportunities against lefties in years past. This year he has, hitting over 280 against them.
Chili Davis, the batter, takes low ball 1, and they have put a shock into this crowd. 8-5 with 3 runs here in the 8th inning. The Twins were down 5-2 into the 6th. But they scored 3 in the 6th and 3 here in the 8th inning. Curveball 1-1.
Well, the way they did it turned the tables around on the Blue Jays. Toronto gets Alomar on, they don't run. The Twins, not known for running, get Gagne and Gladden on, they do run. It pays off.
The man who got the big hit was Dan Gladden, because Gagne was on at first. He was thrown out attempting to steal, and then Gladden got a hit, stole second. If he doesn't get the base hit, we're still in a tie game.
Exactly. And he has, even though that late season slump, really gotten some big hits here in this championship series.
Count is 1-2 to Davis. 2 outs. And Davis strikes out, so the Minnesota Twins get 3 big. Liston was ejected from the game after the 2nd inning. At one time, it was 5-2 in favor of Toronto. But there you see the 2 big innings for the Twins, the 6th and 8th innings, and Kirby Puckett has come alive big here in Toronto. We have a new pitcher, Carl Willis. The 3rd pitcher of the day for the Twins. David West worked 3 outstanding innings in long relief did not allow a run or a hit.
And actually, in a matchup of the bullpens, going in, the Toronto bullpen was the deeper and stronger over the course of the year. Minnesota's bullpen has outpitched Toronto. Willis, West, Guthrie, and Aguilera.
Let's see how Willis does now as Maldonado leads off for the Blue Jays. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning. Maldonado is 0 for 3 this afternoon. Strike one. Joe Carter has ignited his team, but he's got to do a little more, as the rest of the club does. Minnesota Twins could become the first team in league championship history to win 3 road games in a series. Nothing surprising. They were good on the road all year. 1-2.
Well, a combination. The Twins have done so many things right, but Toronto in the last 2 games, opportunities for the hitters, they haven't delivered. Today, the hitters deliver. When you give the Blue Jays a 5-2 lead, they usually win.
Maldonado to the left side. Pagliarulo, 1 away. 14 hits off the bats of the Minnesota Twins, and we have 1 out in the 8th inning.
Yeah, I think a lot of the hits off the bullpen is a result of some of the early exits by, like Candiotti in game 1, where Timlin, Wells, and Ward have really been called on to pitch more innings than normal.
1 out to Pat Borders, hitless in 3 trips today. Line drive and a base hit. So the Blue Jays bounce back with a threat here with 1 out and 1 on.
Well, they've finally begun to get some production from the bottom of the order. Borders getting some hits. Manuel Lee today. But again, today it's been the pitching that hasn't been able to hold him in.
We're going to have a pinch hitter for Manuel Lee. Rance Mullenix, who's been a good one for the Blue Jays, will bat here. Lee had 2 hits in 3 trips, but Mullenix is the veteran.
And when he is announced as the hitter, would not be surprising to see Tom Kelly go immediately to Rick Aguilera. Just trying to get another out or 2 out of Willis.
Mark Guthrie is the left-hander. Willis had retired 14 of the 15 batters he had faced in this series before the single by Borders. Here's Rance Mullenix. 8-5 the Twins. 1 out, 1 on in the last of the 8th inning. Ball 1. Bounding ball could be a double play over to second for 1. The double play by the Twins, and that'll end things in the Blue Jays 8th. We go to the 9th inning. Minnesota leads by 3 runs.
Failed general manager of the Twins. Andy, I know it hasn't happened yet, but should you go to the World Series, this is almost an entirely different team from the last time. What's been the secret to the success?
Well, we've had a lot of changes in our pitching, but we've had so many people contribute from our farm system and some of the free agents we brought in, and the Gagneys, Herbecks, Pucketts we've always had. It's been a real team effort.
You've come in here, a possible sweep. You know, what is the thought on going from worst to first?
It's great to be part of baseball history, to be the first to do it, and then have the Braves eclipse it just in 6 days. It's still a little piece of history. It'll always be special to us.
Thank you, Andy. Dick?
All right, Leslie, thank you very much. And he was just rewarded, Andy MacPhail, with a new 3-year contract, deservedly so. Brian Harper swings and misses 2 strikes. Harper is 1 for 4 with a base hit. And of course, Jim, we talk about the free agent pickups. 3 big ones.
3 big ones, and here's one they'll have to sign next year. Brian Harper, who becomes one.
David Wells, and a curveball driven deep, but going foul.
Now, the Twins didn't sign the marquee free agents like a Darryl Strawberry. Kind of quiet signings. Chili Davis, Jack Morris, Mike Pagliarulo, Steve Bedrosian, but they have spent their money wisely. They have received more production out of their free agents than any other team.
And a shot gloved beautifully by Olerud, trying to get it over to Wells, and he does. Good play. Harper's retired, one away in the Twins' ninth inning. Looking ahead to the bottom of the ninth for the Blue Jays, but first this look.
Terrific athlete, terrific story. Leslie Visser talked about it the other night, coming back from the brain aneurysm.
Shane Mack with a single and a run batted in. Ball one to him. Every member of the Minnesota lineup has hit safely this afternoon. That's been the trademark of this ball club.
Yeah, that is. That says a lot about the 8 runs on the scoreboard today for Minnesota. Not just Kirby Puckett. 1 through 9. It's a pretty balanced lineup.
Chuck Knobloch has not played like a rookie. Hardly, huh?
All year he has played that way. And what sets the tone, the big difference in the Minnesota Twins, who finished last year, is starting pitching. They got Jack Morris to give them innings. Tapani and Erickson developed. Only Finley, Abbott, and Langston from California were a better threesome than those three.
Fastball, and Mack goes down. There are 2 away. This is Dick Stockton along with Jim Cotton and Leslie Visser. The Toronto Blue Jays have one more chance, trailing by 3 runs, to prevent the Minnesota Twins from getting to the World Series. A 3-run 8th inning following a 3-run 6th has turned this game around after the Jays had a 5-2 lead. Here's Mike Pagliarulo, one of the free agent acquisitions.
You know, when Minnesota opened the season, Kirby Puckett was in right field. Shane Mack in center. They started out 2 and 9. Mack wasn't hitting. He went to the bench. Puckett went to center. Gene Larkin to right field. And then Mack began to hit, and the whole lineup has come together.
Joe Carter would be 4th in the 9th inning for the Blue Jays. Olerud handles this one, and now the Toronto Blue Jays are down to their last 3 outs. Mookie Wilson, Devon White, and Roberto Alomar will come up in the 9th. To face Rick Aguilera, a fitting scenario for him. 42 saves to lead the Twins. He has 2 of them, 2 more of them here in this championship series, and you always want to be the pitcher on the mound in a clinching situation for the tape, the photos. So Aguilera, West, and Tapani, the 3 pitchers that the Twins acquired for Frank Viola a couple of years ago, have all appeared in this game. New catcher Junior Ortiz replaces Brian Harper. And coming up next, Pat O'Brien with Baseball 91. He's got Tommy Lasorda with him, but it'll be the Pirates and the Braves, 8 o'clock Eastern time for Game 4. Tomlin and Liebrand. 2 left-handers will be on the mound as the Pirates try to even the National League Championship Series at 2 games apiece. Well, here we go. Tom Kelly never lost composure after the team won the championship 4 years ago, and 2 also ran seasons. It's been a good year for those guys too. Mookie Wilson. 1 for 3 has scored a run. Aguilera and Mookie Wilson were former teammates with the Mets. Pitch inside for a ball. The bat went flying. Jim Cott has broken, and he is on his way to the Twins dressing room as that pitch sent Wilson to the turf. One and one. A ball and 2 strikes to Wilson. If the Jays lose, it'll revive the litany of their recent years of failure, but they really overcame adversity this year and held off some tough challengers in the Red Sox and Tigers in the final month. Trailing by 3 with nobody out in the bottom of the 9th inning. Staying alive is Mookie. Pop-up, Gagne should handle it. 1 away. And the Twins are 2 outs away from a pennant. Surprisingly, a good part of the crowd has remained here, perhaps to tip their caps to the Blue Jays for their efforts this year. Last night they left in droves by the 6th or 7th inning. Here's Devon White. He's been on 3 times today. Strike 1. Aliarulo is in at third. In case White wants to bunt. A good year, Jim Cott, for the Blue Jays, despite the fact they are likely not to get to the World Series.
A completely revamped team. They traded away a lot of power and RBIs, but they acquired that man, Joe Carter. Concentrated on defense and speed. They had a great year. They're just meeting a better team.
In there for a strike, 1 and 2. Dave Steve, they missed his performance. 18 wins a year ago, out with a back injury.
And I think in this series, really, they had to tax their bullpen so much. It was obvious Dwayne Ward in that 3rd inning did not have the same sharp stuff that he did early on, and Timlin the same thing.
1 and 2. And Devon White strikes out. And they're starting to celebrate in the Twin Cities. The Minnesota Twins need 1 more out to win their 3rd pennant in history. We've got a lot of people to thank here in the 9th inning. Coordinating producer of Major League Baseball, Rick Lasagita. Today's telecast was produced by Bob Vikas and directed by Bob Fishman. Great job by our crew. And the senior producer of CBS Sports is Ed Gorin, and the executive producer of CBS Sports is Ted Shaker. Here's Roberto Alomar. He drove in 3 runs today. Aguilera falls behind 1-0. Two down, nobody on base. Jays down to their last out, but the count goes to 2-0. Three balls and no strikes to Alomar. Blue Jays are 3 runs down. On deck is Joe Carter. if Alomar can keep it going. And that's in there. 3-1. Swing and a miss, and the count is full, and now the Jays are down to their last strike. Crowd on its feet. Fly ball to left field. Dan Gladden is going back on the track. He makes the catch. And the Minnesota Twins have gone from the cellar to the penthouse in the American League. They won in the toughest division in baseball, beating three-time defending champion Oakland. Twins have their third pennant in history. Congratulations to the 1991 American League champions. 8-5 is the final score. Aguilera saves 3 of the 4 victories and will be back to the Sky Dome in just a moment.